Hello and welcome to the turbulent world with me, James M. Dorsey, as your host. Israel's U.S. support base is narrowing, coming at Israel from different directions. U.S. President Donald Trump increasingly critical evangelicals, until recently a rock solid Israeli support base, and influential Make America Great Again torchbearers are chipping away at Israel's standing. On Tuesday, Mr. Trump highlighted his changing attitude when discussing in the Oval Office with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at his side the sale of 48 F 35 fighter jets to Saudi Arabia. Later, at a black tie dinner in the White House, Mr. Trump declared Saudi Arabia a major non NATO ally, a status already enjoyed by Qatar and Bahrain. Potentially, the sale could alter the military balance in the Middle East and violate U.S. law that obliges the United States to ensure that Israel maintains a qualitative military edge in the region, a pillar of the Jewish majority state's military posture. This is a great ally, and Israel is a great ally. They both are at the level where they should get top of the line, Mr. Trump said, when asked whether Saudi Arabia would get as advanced a model of the F 35 as Israel has. Israel is the only Middle Eastern state that operates F 35s widely viewed as the world's most advanced fighter jet. Mr. Trump made it clear he wasn't going to waste his time on stopping all these weapons and item sales just because of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, said Nawaf Obaid, a former Saudi government foreign policy and media advisor. The question is what Mr. Trump will offer Mr. Netanyahu as compensation to preserve the fig leaf of maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge. To be sure, the sale narrows but does not eliminate Israel's military superiority. The Israeli Air Force's planning and operational capabilities have no parallel in today's Middle East. It will probably take time until they manage to close the professional gap, said journalist Amos Harel. Even so, the sale is likely to put a similar deal with the United Arab Emirates back on the table. The UAE suspended talks on acquiring F 35s as part of the 2020 deal that saw the Gulf state establish diplomatic relations with Israel, alongside Bahrain and Morocco, because the US feared that China could gain access to the plane's technologies. The significance of sales to Saudi Arabia and the UAE goes beyond issues of the Middle East's military balance of power. Saudi and Emirati investments in Africa's critical mineral industry are of strategic importance to the United States, given China's global domination of the sector. The production of F 35s depends on critical minerals. Critical minerals is a key part of the discussion here in Washington, said Middle East analyst Firas Maksad, noting that Saudi Arabia was preparing to become a major critical mineral hub's processing hub. Mr. Trump's tinkering with the nature of U.S. relations with Israel comes as messianic evangelical support for Israel is on the decline, not just in the United States, but also worldwide. Gaza may be the catalyst for the shift, yet mounting criticism of Israel and greater empathy for Palestinians, particularly among American evangelicals aged 18 to 29, reflects a power shift in the global evangelical community. This train has left the station. It's not coming back, especially with the younger generation, said Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, an evangelical conspiracy theorist who, during the COVID-19 epidemic, compared masks to the yellow Star of David Nazis forced Jews to wear. Mrs. Taylor Greene later apologized for her comment. Mr. Trump's tinkering also comes as influential figures in the president's Make America Great Again base have turned up the volume on criticism of U.S. support for Israel and mainstreamed far right anti Semites, such as 27-year-old neo Nazi white supremacist and Christian nationalist Nick Fuentes, and blatantly anti Semitic podcaster Candace Owens. The shift is compounded by the rise to prominence of non Western evangelicals, including Palestinians and Middle Eastern communities, who account for 70% of the global evangelical community and may share a belief in end times, but have not politicized it to make support for Israel a commandment. As a result, African states, which make up roughly 30% of United Nations membership, favor, with few exceptions, the creation of an independent Palestinian state and reject Israeli annexation of territory conquered by Israel during the 1967 Middle East War, despite long-standing Israeli and American evangelist efforts to persuade them to be more supportive of Israel. Pew Research predicted in 2015 that by 2050, sub-Saharan Africa would account for 38% of the world's Christian population. In 2019, the research group said that by 2060, 6 of the 10 countries with the largest Christian populations will be in Africa. For many American evangelicals, the end times involves the regathering of Jews in the Promised Land at a time of persecutions during the tribulations. The evangelicals believe that Jews who survive the persecution and recognize Jesus as their Messiah will be saved. Theological emphasis is shifting. We younger evangelicals interpret the teachings of Jesus as emphasizing compassion, peace, and justice for all, rather than a political alignment with a specific nation, said a younger evangelist activist. The global power shift in the evangelical community was on display last month when the World Evangelical Alliance, or WEA, which represents 600 million evangelicals from 161 countries, elected Sri Lankan activist Godfrey Yogaraja as chairman to replace Thomas Schirmacher, a religious scholar with close ties to the German political establishment, at its General Assembly in Seoul. Mr. Yogaraja has not spoken publicly about Israel or the Gaza war, but stressed that he would work closely with Botros Mansour, a Nazareth-born Israeli-Palestinian lawyer with a history of mediating between Israeli-Palestinian Christians and Messianic Jews. The alliance appointed Mr. Mansour as its Secretary General and CEO in August. Assembly attendees said Mr. Yogaraja was signaling that the WEA would take a more even-handed approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict than Mr. Schirmacher's more pro-Israel stance. It means something profound that in this moment a Palestinian Christian from Israel has been asked to serve as Secretary General, Mr. Mansour said in his inaugural address. In a similar vein, the European Baptist Federation, EBF, elected Lebanese Reverend Charles Costa as its new president in September. The EBF groups associations in Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia. Even so, North American evangelicals retain considerable influence in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. That was evident last year when International Court of Justice ICJ Vice President Julia Sebutinde was the only member of the world's highest judicial body to oppose all provisional measures it advocated in South Africa's case accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. The Lord is counting on me to stand on the side of Israel, Mrs. Sebutinde said in August at the launch of a new Watoto Church evangelical ministry in the Ugandan capital of Kampala. It was Mrs. Sebutinde's first public comment on her opposition to the ICJ ruling. Watoto Church was founded in 1984 by Zimbabwe-born fourth-generation Canadian missionary Gary Skinner. The Ugandan government distanced itself from Mrs. Sebutinde at the time of the ICJ ruling. The position taken by Judge Sebutinde is her own individual and independent opinion and does not in any way reflect the position of the government of the Republic of Uganda, the government said in a statement. Thank you for joining me today. Thousands worldwide are avid readers and listeners of The Turbulent World. They make this column and podcast possible. Join them in helping to maintain and expand the column and podcast by becoming a paid subscriber. You can choose one of the subscription options at jamesmdorsey.substack.com. Best wishes and see you soon.